Hello students, today I am going to discuss equivalent conductance at infinite dilution. Now you all have learned how concentration of a solution affects the equivalent conductance. So we have seen in the previous lecture, you will find it in my channel and go to the playlist titled electrochemistry. There you will find all the lectures, and in the last lecture I have discussed in detail that how specific conductance and equivalent conductance varies with concentration of the electrolytic solution. Now we have seen that with decrease in concentration, that is with increase in dilution of the electrolytic solution, the equivalent conductance so with decrease in concentration, that is with increase in dilution of the electrolytic solution, the equivalent conductance of the solution increases. Okay. So what I have told you as an explanation to this phenomena is that we are dealing with 1 gram equivalent of ions while measuring equivalent conductance, and we have to guarantee that 1 gram equivalent of ions must be placed between the two electrodes. So when you dilute the solution, there is no way that ions are removed from the volume enclosed between the two electrodes. If you pour water to dilute the solution, then you have to simultaneously increase the surface area of the electrodes such that the entire solution containing 1 gram equivalent of ions is placed within that solution. Okay. Now with dilution, what was happening? The oppositely charged ions, that is the cations and anions, were getting apart from each other. So as per the Coulombic electrostatic force of attraction, with increase in distance between the oppositely charged ions, the force of attraction was decreasing. So what was happening? They were moving faster. So due to increase in the ionic mobility, keeping the number of ions constant, equivalent conductance was increasing. So that is the reason. Now this have to be explained in detail in case of both strong and weak electrolytes. So we have to consider the variation of equivalent conductance for an electrolytic solution with concentration, that is with dilution, for strong electrolytes and for weak electrolytes, because the behavior is different. So we will first classify electrolyte into two broad division. One is strong electrolytes and another is weak electrolytes. So examples are strong acids, strong bases, salts, etc. An example of weak electrolytes are acetic acid, formic acid also, phenol also, NH4OH. So, what is the basic difference between strong and weak electrolytes? These electrolytes undergo complete dissociation. So, if we start with say 100 molecules, so at the time of start it will be 0, and when the equilibrium is reached, it will be reached spontaneously and very fast. So, when the equilibrium is reached, no molecules will be left and we will have 100% dissociation. Time equal to equilibrium. Here there will be a reversible reaction, and after attainment of equilibrium we will experience a certain percentage of dissociation rather than 100% dissociation, as is the phenomena with strong electrolytes. So, weak electrolytes does not dissociate completely, but strong electrolytes dissociates 100%. Now, another thing is that with increase in dilution, degree of dissociation increases in case of weak electrolyte. So, when the equilibrium is reached, we will have K equilibrium equals to equilibrium concentration of the products. So, it will be A minus third bracket into H3O plus third bracket by HA third bracket into H2O third bracket. Now, if we start with concentration C, it will be 0 0 at the time of start, and if the degree of dissociation be considered to be alpha, then we will have C into 1 minus alpha. So, it will be alpha C and alpha C. For 1 alpha amount go to the product side. So, for C we will have alpha C to go to the product side. So, what is the remaining amount? Remaining amount is C minus alpha C. So, if we take C as common, what will be the remaining amount? It will be C into 1 minus alpha. So, the remaining amount of acid that will exhibit degree of dissociation alpha is C into 1 minus alpha. Now, for dissociation of one molecule we will have 1 A minus and 1 H3O plus. For dissociation of two molecules we will have 2 A minus and 2 H3O plus. So, for dissociation of alpha C of this weak electrolyte we will have alpha C of A minus and alpha C of H3O plus. So, at equilibrium what we are getting? We are getting alpha C amount of A minus, alpha C amount of H3O plus. Okay. So, we take this concentration, this is constant to the left hand side. So, we will get the acid dissociation constant and we put the values here. So, it will be alpha C into alpha C by C into 1 minus alpha. So, this C cancels out, we will have alpha square C by 1 minus alpha. Now, these are weak electrolytes, so it will exhibit a poor dissociation at moderate concentrations. So, to a good approximation we can write alpha much less than 1. Then it will imply that 1 minus alpha almost equal to 1. So, we put this value here. So, we will get Ka equals to alpha square C. This is almost equal to, or what is alpha? Alpha equal to, we take this C to the left hand side and we take the square root, so it will be Ka upon C. So what we are observing is that if you decrease the concentration by pouring water, by diluting the solution, then alpha is going to increase. So for weak electrolytes, the degree of dissociation, that is alpha, increases with decrease in the concentration. With decrease in concentration means with increase in dilution. So with increase in dilution, concentration is decreasing, it is in the denominator, so alpha will increase. So you are getting more and more ions when you dilute a weak electrolyte. So if you start with 1 gram equivalent of this electrolyte and you dilute it gradually, what you will get is that the number of ions will increase here as the dissociation increases. But for strong electrolytes at all concentrations, it will remain 100% dissociated. If it is highly concentrated, if it is moderately concentrated, if it is dilute, if it is very dilute, no matter, whatever may be the concentration of a strong electrolyte, it remains 100% dissociated at all concentrations. But in case of weak electrolytes, dissociation is very poor when the concentration is very high, and with decrease in the concentration, that is with increase in dilution, dissociation increases. So we are getting more and more number of ions as we dilute it. So the effect of dilution, that is concentration on equivalent conductance for strong and weak electrolytes, are not exactly equivalent. We are starting with 1 gram equivalent of strong electrolyte and 1 gram equivalent of weak electrolytes. Here the number of ions will remain fixed, only with dilution the ionic mobility will increase. But here, since at high concentration the dissociation is very poor, so we have small number of ions, so there is a very less attraction between the oppositely charged ions even at high concentration. So the concept of increase in ionic mobility with dilution does not play here. When the concentration is high, that is less amount of solvent is present, these molecules, these weak electrolytes dissociate a little amount. So we have small number of ions. So they are sufficiently separated from each other. So the oppositely charged ions, that is cations and anions, will attract less. Now as we dilute, the distance increases, but more and more ions come into the picture due to further dissociation. So with dilution, distance increases, but more and more ions come into the picture. So the distance between the oppositely charged ions remain more or less fixed in case of weak electrolyte. So the increase in ionic mobility does not play here in case of weak electrolyte, but the number of ions increases, that is the reality, and that is going to guide the variance of equivalent conductance for weak electrolyte with dilution. But here what happens, number of ions is not changing, only what is happening is that with dilution the oppositely charged ions are getting apart from each other and the force of attraction is decreasing, so ionic mobility is increasing, so equivalent conductance is increasing. So here equivalent conductance is increasing due to increase in the ionic mobility with dilution, and here equivalent conductance is increasing with dilution owing to the increase in the number of ions. So the behavior is different, and it is mandatory to keep account of both these electrolytes in a different way. Okay. Now Kohlraasch gave an empirical expression regarding the variation of equivalent conductance for strong electrolytes. So, if we plot equivalent conductance as a function of root over concentration, then it is observed for strong electrolytes that it behaves linearly. So, the equivalent conductance for strong electrolytes maintain a linear relation with the square root of the concentration of their electrolytic solution, and this empirical relation is proposed by Kohlraasch, where B is the constant and this lambda 0 is the constant. You can see that with increase in concentration, root C also increase. So, as root C increases, lambda will fall. So, lambda is falling, but the fall is not that rapid since there is a square root over concentration. So, as you dilute a strong electrolytes, the number of ions remain the same everywhere. For higher concentration, for moderate concentration, for very dilute condition, the number of ions remaining the same, only the speed is changing. So, it is increasing linearly and by a small amount. So, what is this lambda 0? You cannot reach this state, since this implies that root C tends to 0 implies C tends to 0. So, C tends to 0 means you have to put huge amount of water. Now, it is observed that when we start with a 1.0 normal KCl solution, for example, the value that is obtained for lambda is found to increase when we pour water and dilute it by 10 times. So, this equivalent conductance is increasing, and with further dilution it increases further. With further dilution, equivalent conductance increases further. So, what is the reason for this increase in the equivalent conductance? So, here the oppositely charged ions plus minus say are apart from each other by this distance. So, when we dilute it 10 times, the distance increases. So, they are getting separated. This figure is not to scale. So, further dilution is taking the oppositely charged ions further away from each other. So, the distance is increasing with dilution. So, as the distance increases, so we have the force of attraction between two charges Q1 and Q2 is F equals to Q1 Q2 upon R square. Now, you need the dielectric constant 4 pi epsilon here, which is a very high value for the solvent water. Now, as the distance increases, we see the force of attraction is inversely proportional to the square of the distance. So, it will decrease rapidly, and a time will come when this minus will go out of the field of this plus. Say this plus has a field up to this point. Now, you have this negative ion, that is anion, out of this field. So, there will be no attraction. So, if the oppositely charged ions come out of the field that is created by the ions, then there will be no attraction. So, at this point the cations and anions will exhibit maximum speed. Okay. It will move with a maximum speed that can be attained, which depends on the nature of the solvent, nature of the ions and temperature. Since this ion has no effect on this ion and vice versa. Now, if this condition is achieved with this concentration, then with further increase in dilution, there will be no increment in equivalent conductance. So, these two equivalent conductances will remain the same. These two will have the same equivalent conductances. So, when you reach this value where the oppositely charged ions do not attract each other, then with further dilution there will be no effect on the equivalent conductance, it will remain constant. So, that is the case here. So, you cannot determine it by experiment. So, what we are doing, we are getting a straight line, a linear plot from experiment. Now, at this very dilute condition to this domain, what we are doing, we are extrapolating this linear relation and we are getting this lambda 0. What is this? This is the maximum value that is attainable by a electrolytic solution at a given temperature. So, with dilution this equivalent conductance is increasing and a point comes, a concentration comes where further dilution is not going to increase the equivalent conductance any further, since now they are devoid of attraction. So, with further dilution there will be no decrement in the attraction force between the oppositely charged ions. So, this is called the equivalent conductance at infinite dilution. So, this is the maximum value. This equivalent conductance at infinite dilution, it is the maximum value. Infinite dilution in what sense? In the sense that these plus minus ions are not attracting each other. The dilution that will generate this criteria will be called infinite dilution. It is not the case that you have to pour 10 to 13 municipality water tanks into the cell so as to dilute it to infinite times, not like that. The concentration at which you get the maximum value and with further dilution conductance, equivalent conductance does not increase, that is the equivalent conductance and infinite dilution. And here at this point in the domain of tends to 0, C tends to 0, the behavior is not experimentally achieved. So, we are extrapolating this line to get the lambda 0 for that particular strong electrolyte. Now, what happens with a weak electrolyte? So, this is for strong electrolyte, and see this is a straight line with a negative slope. So, we have lambda equals to lambda 0 minus b root c, that is y equals to mx plus c, where m is the slope and is minus b. Now, b is a constant positive value, so negative, so it is with a negative slope. You can see that the angle is greater than 90. So, it will have a negative slope, that is being accounted by minus b, and this c, this is the intercept of this graph. So, this is the maximum value that is possible for equivalent conductance for that specific electrolyte. So, this is also a constant for the species, it is lambda 0. So, this y equal to mx plus c. So, this is the equation of a straight line. This is the empirically obtained relation and it fits into the experimentally obtained graph, and it is being proposed by Kohlraasch. Now, what is the case with weak electrolyte? For weak electrolytes, if we start with the same concentration for a weak electrolyte instead of strong electrolyte, we will get here this value of equivalent conductance. So, if we start with this concentration, then we will get the equivalent conductance for weak electrolyte to appear here and for strong electrolyte to start from here. Now, with dilution we are moving leftward. So, in this direction concentration is increasing. So, in this direction dilution is increasing. So, as we dilute the system, more and more ions will be produced owing to increase in the dissociation. So, we will have a gradual increment in the equivalent conductance. Now, when the system reaches the dilute domain, the equivalent conductance start increasing very rapidly. This is because when we start with a weak electrolyte, as the concentration decreases, these two oppositely charged ions go far and far away from each other. So, the probability of contact between these two oppositely charged ions decreases to a large extent. So, the backward process is hindered. So, what is happening? And also we are adding more and more reactants, that is water. So, it will accelerate the forward reaction and the backward reaction also will be prohibited. So, at the diluted domain, what will happen? The forward reaction will enhance by a large extent and we will have a large number of ions. So, this equivalent conductance will start increasing rapidly. Now, what will be the value of the equivalent conductance at infinite dilution for this problem? If you extrapolate it, it will reach infinity. But do you think the equivalent conductance for a weak electrolyte at infinite dilution can exceed strong electrolyte? No, it cannot at an infinite value. It must be near about the value of strong electrolytes. So, for weak electrolytes, the equivalent conductance at infinite dilution cannot be determined by simple extrapolation, since this extrapolation takes us to the undefined region. So, what will be the solution to this problem? How will we determine lambda 0 for weak electrolytes? This will be the topic of our next lecture. Now, at present we can have an important information from this graph. Say we collect the data of lambda at this particular concentration. Obviously, this is root C. So, we can have the value of C from this root C value. So, this is lambda C. So, we get the equivalent conductance of this weak electrolyte at particular concentration C. Now, using the technique that will be described in the next lecture, we will have the value for the equivalent conductance at infinite dilution for the weak electrolytes. Now, we are dividing this equivalent conductance at this particular concentration by equivalent conductance of the same electrolyte at the same temperature at infinite dilution. I have already told you that with increase in dilution, what is happening in case of weak electrolyte is that the number of ions is increasing. So, the number of ions that are present at this concentration increases to this position, and this is increasing. And what will happen at the position of infinite dilution? We will have all the reactant molecules, all the electrolytes to get dissociated. So, at infinite dilution, what will happen? It will experience 100% dissociation. So, 100% dissociation of weak electrolyte will occur at infinite dilution. Since when the solution is infinitely diluted, there is no chance that this H3O plus and A minus will touch each other. They cannot fill each other. So, that is the state of infinite dilution. So, this is going to remain in this state forever. It will not come back. So, we will experience 100% dissociation as per the Le-Chatelier's principle. So, we have the maximum number of ions that is possible from the electrolyte taken, and at any particular concentration what will happen? We will have a limited number of ions, that is a characteristic of that concentration. So, if this represents 100 and this represents the number of ions that are dissociated at this particular concentration, then what it will give us? It will give us the degree of dissociation. So, if it is 0.35, then what we will get? What we will realize? We will realize that at this concentration there is a 35% dissociation of this weak electrolyte. Since this 0.35 means here we have 35, here we have 100. 100 means 100% dissociation, and 35 will indicate obviously 35% dissociation. So, dividing lambda c by lambda 0, we will be able to determine the degree of dissociation. So, this has been proposed by Arrhenius. So, two important relations, one for strong electrolytes, this relation that is proposed by Kohlraasch, and this one for the weak electrolytes, that is proposed by Arrhenius. So, this is going to work for weak electrolytes only and not for strong electrolytes. Since the degree of dissociation is always 1 for strong electrolytes, it has no significance in case of strong electrolytes. So, our next topic is to determine the equivalent conductance at infinite dilution for weak electrolytes. How we will be able to determine the equivalent conductance at infinite dilution of weak electrolytes? So, for strong electrolytes the procedure is simple. Take 4 to 5 data at different concentration, measure the equivalent conductance, and you get a linear relation, and through extrapolation you will get this point. But after having this graph, you will not be able to extrapolate it, that will cut the y axis. So, you will be unable to determine the lambda 0 for weak electrolytes through experiment. You need some other techniques, that is given by Kohlraasch's law of independent migration of ions, and that is the topic of our next lecture. Thank you. Stay with me.